Today, we're going to talk about a credential that's, frankly, becoming a non-negotiable for anyone in finance, consulting, or corporate strategy. Seriously, it's the key to navigating this massive shift that's happening in the global economy. So let's dive right in. Let's just start with the score idea because it's so important. When capital markets value climate risk as financial risk, the entire ecosystem recalibrates. And listen, this isn't some prediction for the distant future. It is happening right now, and it is fundamentally changing the rules of the game in global finance. So this brings us to a really critical question, one you've got to ask yourself. Is your career ready for this recalibration? Because this isn't just for the sustainability teams tucked away in a corner anymore. This is about core financial competence for everyone. Okay, so how did we even get here? In our first section, A New Financial Reality, we're going to unpack that exact moment when climate risk officially crossed the line and became financial risk. You know, this visual pretty much says it all. Not too long ago, climate was seen as this niche, corporate social responsibility thing, a nice to have. Well, now it's a core financial risk that directly hits profitability, creditworthiness, and shareholder value. The entire game has changed, period. So whenever you have a massive shift like this, something else happens. You get a huge demand for a totally new kind of professional. And that brings us to our next section, the climate skills gap. Let's take a look at who is suddenly in very, very high demand. So who is this new person everyone's looking for? Well, we're calling them the climate finance professional. This is an expert who is completely fluent in two languages, the language of financial analysis and the language of climate impact. They're the essential bridge between these two worlds that have now totally collided. And the demand? It's not just a trickle. It is exploding across the board. We're talking about banks, investors, consulting firms, major corporations, you name it. They are all hiring for these roles. This isn't some niche trend. It's an industry-wide race to connect climate intelligence directly to the bottom line. Okay, so you've got this massive skills gap. How does the market solve a problem like that? Well, that brings us right to our third section, the certification solution. This is how the market is figuring out how to find credible talent and find it fast. So why are certifications suddenly so important in this space? Well, think about it. This is an incredibly high-stakes field. A mistake in analyzing climate finance can cost a company millions, even billions, and create huge liabilities. So employers need a reliable, market-recognized signal of credibility. They need to know you actually know your stuff. I really love this way of framing it. A certification acts as a bridge. It takes the expertise you already have, whether you're in banking or engineering or strategy, and it translates it into the specific climate-focused financial competence that companies are so desperate to find right now. All right, so what's actually inside this climate toolkit? What are the core skills that these certifications are actually teaching you? Let's take a look under the hood. The best programs out there, the most respected ones, are all built on these four foundational pillars. First up, climate risk assessment. That's learning how to model the financial impact of everything from a heat wave to a new carbon tax. Second, green and sustainable finance. This is where you get fluent in instruments like green bonds and sustainability-linked loans. Third is emissions and decarbonization literacy, so you can actually evaluate the financial viability of a net zero plan. And finally, regulatory fluency. You've got to know the key frameworks like TCFD and CSRD that are totally reshaping global reporting. Now let's get down to the brass tacks, the real bottom line. How do these skills actually supercharge your career? What is the tangible, practical value you can bring to your specific role? And this table here just breaks it down perfectly. Okay, so if you're in banking, this means you can navigate those new regulatory stress tests. If you're in consulting, you're the one who can actually quantify the financial return on a decarbonization project and win that client's trust. For you folks in investment, it's all about evaluating your portfolio's alignment and, maybe more importantly, spotting those huge new opportunities in climate tech. And if you're in a corporate role, you're now able to justify green capital spending and report back to your investors with confidence. The key takeaway here, this is not abstract knowledge. It is a practical, valuable toolkit you can use on day one. All right, let's wrap up by looking ahead. What's driving all this? And more importantly, why is this trend not just here to stay, but actually accelerating? Well, there are three key forces really shaping tomorrow. First, you've got stricter mandatory climate disclosures coming from regulators all over the world. It's not optional anymore. Second, investors are demanding way deeper transparency and forward-looking data. And third, All this advanced climate analytics technology is becoming standard, but it's useless without experts who can actually interpret what it's saying. And when you put all of that together, it leads to a pretty powerful conclusion. Climate finance will be one of the most important professional skill sets for the next decade. This isn't just a fleeting trend. It's becoming the new standard for what excellence looks like in the world of finance.
So, we'll leave you with this final thought. The rule book for finance is being completely rewritten as we speak. So the only real question left is, how are you going to lead in this new era? Thanks for tuning in.